Again, good afternoon. We start the second half of our day with Professor Irma Lindt and Wolfgang Gräther on design thinking for sustainable transformation. And both of them can look back at successful innovation, transformation, both together with industry. Irma Lindt, she's professor for computer science and information management at the Technische University of Cologne. And previously, she was responsible for innovation for a long time at DHL, the big logistic company, Deutsche Post. And Wolfgang Gräther, he used to work at the Fraunhofer Institute for Applied Information Technology, FIT. He can look back to decades of applied innovation, focusing on the way how people work together with and without technology, so collaborative systems, on the blockchain technology, where he had a lead together with Professor Wolfgang Gräther to get the core responsibility for the blockchain technology within Fraunhofer Institute, organization of 20,000 employees, and as well the design thinking approach. Design thinking will be very crucial in order to get the right systems, the systems that fulfill user needs and the needs of communities and the needs of the globe. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Achim, for your kind introduction. So this will be the first paper presentation session, yeah. So it won't be, it's just scheduled for 20 minutes, and we will do the presentation together, Wolfgang Gräther and myself. So design thinking, maybe you have come across this, maybe you have already used it. Design thinking is a method, an approach for creative problem solving. And it has some underlying principles. And one of the principles is the ambiguity rule. Yeah, that rule means that with design thinking, you look typically at complex problems that cannot be easily solved. Yeah, it's not easy to find a good solution, and you should preserve that ambiguity. Yeah. You must allow yourself and the others to see things from different perspectives. Yeah. Then you have with design thinking also the human rule. Yeah. You always develop something from a very human-centric point of view. Yeah. And that helps also with sustainability, of course, yeah, because sustainability means also that you find a solution that's good for the users. Yeah, that's not just, you know, a quick solution that's good for a few years. Yeah, but you want to find a solution that's really sustainable, not only from an environmental perspective, but also that users really desire, yeah, and that fulfill their needs. And then you have also the tangibility rule with design thinking. That means that you quickly translate your ideas into tangible prototypes that you can use as a communication media. Yeah, so you develop a prototype and you use it to get feedback and to improve and to iterate. Design thinking comes also with 5 important steps that you should take. So initially, you really try to develop empathy, try to understand the users, the situation, yeah, and you try to immerse yourself into the problem space. Then you bring all your insights together, you synthesize that into one point of view, and then you start developing ideas, you prototype them, and then you test and you iterate until you found a really good working solution. What's also really good about design thinking is that you focus in the first step very much on the problem space. Yeah, before you solve the problem, you really try to understand the problem. Yeah, so you explore the problem space, you get a good understanding, and then only you start to develop and prototype ideas. Only then you explore the solution space. One example for the use of design thinking, maybe you know that, that's often used, yeah, to illustrate what design thinking can lead you towards, is this baby incubator for less than $100. That was developed in 2008 by a student group of the Stanford University. And they looked into the big problem of newborn babies that are underweight, yeah, that are premature. Um, and they went to Kathmandu, yeah, was it right, Wolfgang? Yeah, the student group went there and they observed, yeah, the problem. And what they learned is that very often these premature babies, they don't make it to the hospital. So even if they would develop a fantastic incubator for the hospital, it wouldn't help, because the babies don't make it to the hospital. They are typically born in very rural areas, and it's difficult. It takes hours if they are premature born to bring them to the hospital. And that was the starting point. So these insights helped then the student group to develop an incubator, which is basically, you see it on the top right, it's a sleeping bag, and it's equipped with some phase-changing material, yeah, based on wax. Maybe you know it from hand warmers, yeah. You can switch it on, and then it gets really warm, and it keeps the baby warm for up to 8 hours. Yeah. So with this sleeping bag equipped with this wax, it helped really to bring the premature babies to the hospital and to keep them alive, yeah, until the hospital can take care of them.
Okay. And now we come to the sustainability issues. We have now learned the basics of design thinking. And how is this related to sustainable transformation? This is what we see already, that a lot of projects are ongoing in this field. They want to reduce the carbon output, for example, or they want to reduce other things and be more sustainable. And what we believe is that compared to other disciplines, sustainable transformation is an activity that is practical. You want a solution, and it is solution-based. So it's no theory and an ongoing formal process. The people, they start working on a certain issue, sustainable issue in a company or in other institutions, and then they need some creativity. And this is why we, of our experience we had, what we thought we can present here is the framework to help practitioners to understand design thinking and do sustainable transformation projects in a manner like design thinkers do. And in design thinking analysis framework, this guides practitioners also and innovation strategists to identify and specify sustainable transformation projects. We will see this in our framework, and also it helps practitioners to develop an understanding of the processes, which is important, and then they can talk about it and give it in education to other people. Here, no? Good. So now we have the identification sheet and the method canvas. These are two parts of the analysis framework, and the first identification sheet is used to look if the problem at hand is sustainable is suitable for design thinking. Because if you want to develop large software systems, there is the experience this is not suitable for design thinking. They have other methods and they are not successful in using design thinking. And then when you have more problems, you can use also a prioritization. I will do this in the next slide, how this works. And then when you have your suitable problems, yeah, you can now say, oh, we want to work on the first problem and another team, let's say, on the second problem. And then we have here, we recommend certain methods how to achieve the best result. Okay, so now we go in detail for the identification sheet. There we have 3 categories, and you can think of a sheet really as paper, or you can also have it electronically. But if you are working in a group, sometimes it's better to have it on paper, and just one person then fills in the necessary information. So we have 3 categories which you have to attach to your problem. What kind of problem type is the problem at hand? Is it analytical? Analytical means you have like this regression analysis and decision support systems and whatever at hand, and you can do things automatically. Then we call the problem analytical. The problem is judicial. If you have more than one optimal solution, you have many solutions where people negotiate. This is, for example, in economy, I think it's called beauty contest. These are also judicial problems of type judicial. And then we have the synthetic problems where you have a lot of concepts, but the space of concepts is open. Yeah. For example, like this baby incubator. They were told, please create a baby incubator for less than $100. But engineers would say, okay, we reduce the material, we make it cheaper, but then they will not succeed. And this Stanford team of students, they decided to went to rural areas, and then they got this point of view where babies, newborn babies, don't survive. And this was the transport from A to B. And so in synthetic problems, which are very good to solve with design thinking, you have an open space of concepts, and you have also more than one solution, and you cannot do a lot of analytical, apply analytical theories. The next one is the human needs. I think this is quite clear, but the human needs are not clear from the beginning, from the problem description, as we saw also in this incubator example, because the human need was, yeah, we need a baby incubator at a hospital also in Belgrade. And finally, they got a means for transportation and keeping the baby warm in rural area. And then we have the tangible prototypes. If you think for your problem, it is necessary and helpful to have these tangible prototypes. This could be paper prototypes or with this Lego stones, building blocks, and such things. Then you should also qualitatively assess this as very important or less important or even unimportant. Yeah? And here you also check. And then we do a qualitative, not a formal. We don't calculate how good this problem at hand is now suitable or would benefit from design thinking. We just have 4 fields from very little to very much. So, and this is also a little bit typical for design thinking. You discuss in the team what shall we check and why do we check this, and then you have an overall qualitative rating. Okay, so the next slide is now we apply this framework, and you will see the application soon, because I did this with students in Furtwangen. There is this Furtwangen University, and it's a hilly region in Black Forest, and transportation is not very good. Public transportation is very rare, and you can come by car, but then you cannot park close to the university because there it is really expensive. And the task was for students to increase and make the mobility in Furtwangen sustainable. Yeah, and then they had some ideas, and finally they ended up with pedelecs or e-bikes. No? They ended up with e-bikes because it's hilly, and so, and this was done according to the design thinking method, and the result was really beautiful. I think now we can have a look at this identification sheet. We see that it's a synthetic problem. It was really open because sometimes there are gondola systems also in cities, I think in South America, to transport people. And this would also fit to Furtwangen, but they skipped it off after discussions with users and with other students and academia. And then we said human needs is very important, and even tangible prototypes. In Germany, a lot of people know how to bike and how to go with an e-bike, but tangible prototypes was necessary because they also wanted to model and to test the usage of the e-bikes. So they had papers I think it was papers, and then you could check a paper and this was a representative for an e-bike. Now I take an e-bike and go home and do this. And now they are on the next step to find a company to do. So qualitative rating, this problem case benefits from design thinking very much. And this was indeed the case. Okay, Irma.
Thank you. Another problem case that we describe in our paper is available space in small and medium-sized cities, such as Gummersbach. So the department for which I work at the Technical University of Cologne is the Computer Science and Engineering department, and it's 50 kilometers away from Cologne. So it's a very rural area. And in the Corona pandemic, not many people went to the city centers, and some shops got an issue. Especially since the former city center that you can see here, was extended with like a second newer city center, like a shopping mall. So it's a small city with just 15,000 inhabitants, and then they have this huge city center, even two. So the city of Gummersbach, they approached us, the university, and said, okay, we have so much space now. The many stores got bankrupt, filed in bankruptcy. So what can we do with that space? So the challenge was to find solutions, to fill the available space. This problem, has many, is open, it has many different perspectives, and you can find many ideas. It's not perfectly phrased as a design thinking challenge because it's not phrased from a user perspective. So the users don't really have an issue, the inhabitants, with the empty space necessarily, But this is something that can also be worked on with design thinking. And one example that does not fit for design thinking, it's a problem case I was involved in my past, when I worked in logistics. For expensive goods or perishable goods, it's sometimes beneficial to check the condition, and to transmit the condition, for example, the temperature, And when those shipments are loaded into an airplane, you need to stop the transmission, Otherwise, you don't get the certificate to use that that condition tracking for the shipment, Because when you go into an airplane, you have to switch off your mobile phones, So the team, they wanted to have a technical solution so that the tracking is automatically switched off when the parcel is loaded into the airplane, so that they could get a respective certification. So that's a very technical problem. It wouldn't benefit from design thinking. It's more a problem of analytical nature. So we worked on that problem then with a different innovation method. So once you have identified problem cases that benefit from design thinking, then of course you go through the process. You do the problem exploration, the 5 steps that I introduced earlier, and then you develop ideas and you do the solution exploration. This method canvas can help you to quickly, get started. Yeah, it proposes different methods, and for each of the 5 steps. For example, yeah, I think I have another slide with some examples. So here you see the 2 problem cases that we identified as suitable for design thinking, and for each of the problem cases there are different methods selected. You could also add your own method. So it's just to help practitioners to quickly get started, and to use design thinking. Already coming to an end. There's not too much time for our talk. So of course there are already planning tools for design thinking, but their focus is differently. It's more on the documentation of the process. So what we are proposing is really this analysis framework, the identification sheet and a method canvas, something that can help you to quickly use design thinking. And we focus on what we found from our experience is most important for the selection of problem cases, and we also focused on the most important methods for design thinking. We did not look at other aspects like, for example, the heterogeneity of a team is very important for design thinking. For example, this group here is fantastic because people come from different backgrounds. It's a very diverse team. It would be fantastic to work with this team on a problem case. What we actually do, right? And then rooms are also quite important, flexible rooms. Then there are some limitations of what we have done. So we have only a small number of tools in the method canvas. We focused based on our experience, what's most important. And with the analysis framework that we presented, we hope that we can help people who are not used to design thinking, who have no experience with it, to quickly get started. And we said, with design thinking, it's similar to cooking. You can read a lot of books about it, but you actually learn it when you do it. And that's the purpose. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Irma and Wolfgang. Yes, let's cook with the right recipes and the flexibility. We're here in Bella Italia, and that's the best place to have the magic recipes. The floor is open as always for questions. Please just come in front. Grazie.
I'll ask something.
Yes.
I'm curious, and I'll show this to you because there used to be an original design thinking coming from the UK. And I don't know whether this is really based on this. So a fellow named John Gleck, he had a series of very interesting books, but which focus not so much about process, but really the design itself. Can you say something about sort of the relationship between this old British school of design science and so this more modern approach?
Yeah, of course. So when I told a friend of mine, she's a designer, about design thinking, then she said, okay, this is actually what I always do. This is my approach. So design thinking is really the taking the approach, the method, the thinking of designers and using it for other problem areas. Not the typical design challenges. So it's very closely related. So it's basically widening the application areas for the methodologies that designers have already used since decades or longer. You're welcome. Want to add something?
No.
Thank you very much for the nice presentation. Does AI play a role already in this process? I'm thinking about large language models for challenging you, making interviews with you, and so on. Can you say something in that direction?
Yeah, interesting question. So I'm currently supervising 2 master theses that go in a very similar direction. For example, one is on requirements engineering using AI. Yeah. Can AI compile for you from documents the requirements, for example? Yeah, and that could feed into such a innovation challenge. And then regarding idea generation, I have another master thesis I'm supervising where the student, she's investigating whether AI can help you to generate more ideas. Yeah. So it's currently under in the analysis, so I don't have the results yet.
But that means you rather expect a positive outcome.
Yeah, so it could be used as tools, right, in the innovation process. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Just to be the second largest person on the floor. Thank you very much for the presentation. Really interesting. I'm just wondering a little bit myself, I like the classification of the problems. However, sometimes I wonder, is it really a problem or is it more the attitude of people approaching the problem? The thing that I have an existing solution and have the attitude of optimizing the existing solution, like you said, the engineering.
Yeah.
Because then I could also say, okay, I'm not doing that. I'm just looking at the problem and see if I can solve it in a digital way, optimizing the problem in an analogous way, like your logistic example. I don't know. Would it be, I'm not flying it, I'm just not using the plane. I'm not using a technical system. I let people check. I'm paying one person going, I don't know. Just is it not the mind playing around a little bit, and then if it's too narrow, so that the method actually could also help if I'm starting with design, with optimizing and thinking it's not suitable, but it's wrong. It's basically my mind, not the actual problem.
Yeah, I understand where you come from. I think it's a good question for you, Wolfgang, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, I was just thinking, we had the practitioners in mind, and I think you are 100% right. It's the attitude of the people. I was in a computer science institute, and when we had a project to work on, then there were always some people, yeah, then we have a database, then we have our web browser, and then we can make just an interface between the two systems, and we have the solution. And that is not the attitude you should have if you want to be innovative. Yeah. And so what we did for the practitioners is that we had the different problem types, and they can then see, okay, this is more suitable. For example, I read yesterday in the newspaper, in a German, German quality journal, and I read about building new houses. And there was one architect, he built a complete set of houses, and they had all photovoltaic. And then they had not, then they had also some batteries in the basement, and he said, we have to change the mind of the architects and the mind of the craftsmen, because they have their tools at hand, and then they just use this. And he had a complete different design made, which is now built in Frankfurt for houses that are mostly independent of electricity from the network. Yeah, and so it's the attitude. It's okay, but for practitioners, it's better to say, yeah, keep everything that is personal for you and that is in your experience. Think about the problem type. Think about the human needs. Think about the tangibility. Is that?
Thank you very much. And we have a presentation about the perception of software engineers. I think it fits well.
Good.
We have a
Excellent
experience. And I was actually thinking in teaching, we could go even one step further to say, okay, when they come up with a problem, say that's not suitable for design thinking. Then we actually show them it is, which is mine. then we achieve something
Yeah,
via teaching.
Yeah, but theoretically, I cannot agree, because if it's suitable for design thinking, it's suitable. If it's not, it's really not. And these large software products, which are tried to build with design thinking, they all failed. So there is an empirical or anecdotal evidence that this does not work. Yeah. So the point is, you really should only elicit if it's suitable for design thinking. And when, then we can all use these basic methods, which we thought were correct to solve the problem.
I have one more comment, and this
Yes.
is so big for the problem framing.
Sorry.
In the history of the automobile, automobiles originally were called horseless carriages, right? And
Yeah.
that's how they looked. So if you look at the picture.
Genau.
And Daimler-Benz came with an automobile, a self-propelling vehicle, and it changed what the object was, right? And suddenly, so four wheels with rubber tires, and suddenly everything is different. So sometimes that's also the label actually makes quite a big difference.
Yeah, the label, but they were thinking that from a new perspective.
From a new perspective,
because
absolutely.
they had not, I want to have a faster horse.
Yeah.
That was the idea. I want to have a faster horse. Automobiles, we don't know. They make ill and such things, but they were thinking from a different perspective, and then they changed mobility. Yeah, okay. Good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.